amazing. Just, yeah, thank you. He just made 5 sales with just 9 calls, which is amazing. And while having 9 to 5 job and family and kind of living the best life. So, Mike, we just wanted to ask you a few questions
Yeah.
on how you were able to succeed, what was the most helpful in the program, and so on. So, first, if you can share with us, like, what do you do in general? So, what do you niche? How long have you been doing this? And what do you help people with?
Yeah, so my day job is I'm a board certified internal medicine physician. I've spent time in the hospitals. I've spent time as a primary care doctor. Um, the reason I got into Instagram coaching is because I always thought I could kind of extend my medical practice to folks who maybe I want to have avoid need the things that I often treat. So it's essentially a fitness lifestyle um, kind of program that I run based on my history of my own 100+ pound weight loss and doing this for friends, family, acquaintances for the last 10 or so years with the Instagram account that I started that was largely a blog account for this is what being a doctor is like, and this is what being a doctor and staying healthy while being a doctor is like. And it resonated with people, and I've been doing that for I think probably 4 or 5 years now, and I finally decided that, if enough people are asking me to do this, then I might as well start.
Amazing. Great. And could you please share point A and point B? So before the coaching, you mentioned that you had the audience, you grew the account, but you weren't launching anything.
Mm.
So what was your result beforehand, and maybe why you didn't launch it? So maybe like any fears, or you didn't understand the structure. And then point B, after 3 months, how much?
Yeah, so I think
Sorry.
the way that I looked into the account was I wasn't really concerned, quote unquote, with monetization, other than I wasn't really sure how it was going to happen. Um, and I've been for years I'd been getting people saying, "Oh man, you must be making a lot of money off this," and the answer was no. So that kind of got me interested in at some point you reach a tipping point, and that got me interested in like doing something about it. And the coaching thing seemed like a natural fit because I had been kind of doing it anyway. But the getting started part was always like the hold up because I didn't really know what I was doing, and I didn't know really how to start because I hadn't done it before. All the stuff that I have coached, like I have done it before, and it's very easy for me to tell people how to do it because, like I said, I did it before. But this stuff was not that.
Amazing.
And
Got it.
what exactly was difficult for you in terms of offer creation?
I didn't know what offer to create, right? So you see all sorts of things about, making this big course or making these like ebooks, like downloadable kind of content. And that never really resonated with me, given my patient care experience, because no two people are the same. And you can always expand that in the kind of the health and fitness world, that the rules are all the same for everybody, but how to apply those rules can differ greatly from one person to the next. And I've seen that in practice for a number of years. I've seen that in coaching and training, and what I had seen kind of baseline on social media was the stuff that didn't really resonate with the style that I wanted to pursue.
Awesome. And then, so eventually, what do you sell now? Is it a coaching high ticket
It's a
program?
coaching, yeah, yeah. It's a very one-on-one, hands-on. I know I'm early in my coaching career this way, so over the course of time, maybe it morphs, maybe it doesn't, but it's very one-on-one, hands-on, and that's kind of like the way I like to do it.
Awesome. And looking at those faces, who do you remember?
Mitch, definitely.
Okay, gotcha. Now, when enrolling into the program, did you know 100% what exactly you're going to sell?
Um, I knew I know my skill set. Um, I guess the short answer is yes. But it's
But
a
no.
really kind of vague yes. I kind of
So
knew
you,
I knew more or less what I wanted to give to people, what I wanted to do for
right.
people, and what I struggled with for a while was how can I do that? That's a combination of time effective, client centered, effective, and client focused, and monetarily kind of worth it. So that was a
Absolutely.
balance that I had to strike, and it's again early in the process and in the coaching career. So that's, you know, still a balancing upon which I'm teetering, but with a north of 50% close rate, you know, all right, I think I'm doing okay.
Nice,
Amazing.
nice.
And could you please share as well the cash collected and revenue that you expect to get from that?
Yeah.
And
So in
so-
this first kind of little go through, expected cash is 12,000. Actual cash collected, I have a couple people on payment plans. I have a couple people in residency that I give kind of properly spaced out payments to because I know how much they make. And med school residents, PA school, nursing school people, they all get a discount because I have a soft spot in my heart for them. Like almost like professional courtesy. So uh, total due 12,000, cash collected, not including the stuff I've already put away for taxes, is about 7,000.
So sales conversion 50%.
Whatever 5 divided by 9 is. So 50
Nice.
something percent, yeah.
Hey, listen, we're always looking. We're always looking for talent. So if you decide to transition into multiple consistent figures, multiple 5 figures, let me know.
I think what helps me with that conversion rate is personality definitely helps, and I think Mitch can probably attest to this in kind of being able to play the room. Like for some reason I've been approached by a couple different door-to-door salesmen, and they all have like similar pitches, but you can tell who's listening and who is kind of going based on the things that you've said versus the script. So that's definitely helpful, like knowing the kind of basic framework that I got from you guys, but also just like having a conversation, right? Because it's not really a sales call, it's a do we fit call, because they've gone through a few steps, either, you know, downloading the freebie and filling out the form and, you know, having this discussion. Like, I already know that you're interested, so most of the work is done as far as excuse me, as far as getting people in the door. And a lot of these people have been following me for a number of years, and I've built trust with them over those years because my message has stayed so consistent and transparent. So they're like, this obviously he knows what he's doing. I trust this guy. I really don't have a problem with kind of checking the box and just sending the money. The first call I had, I closed, and she didn't like bat an eye about sending me multiple thousands of dollars off PayPal. And I was like, oh, all right.
amazing.
I actually have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you were doing this while you were your doctor full time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you find it difficult at all balancing both of these things in terms of time commitment, or talk to me about what that looked like?
As far as, so I wasn't doing it when I was like in residency, and when I was in residency was also like the height of the pandemic. So I was working, let's be kind to myself and call it 100 hours a week. But you know, you always get downtime, and you always have, you know, your friends, family, colleagues like asking questions during that downtime. And I ended up kind of just compiling all that stuff into like a document with like, here's how you work out at home for 20 minutes with the dumbbells, bands, both or nothing. And I just kind of started giving that to people. And that was kind of in the 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. It was probably not possible to do full-time coaching during that time. It would just because I couldn't leave the hospital. As doing physician work full-time, it's possible depending on kind of what else you have going on. At the moment, my schedule is, you know, not 100 hours a week, right? So I have some spare time. It becomes a bit of a juggle with, hey, I want to keep my content creation going at a good pace. I want to be able to serve my clients appropriately. I want to be able to do my job, and also, you know, make sure that I'm healthy, make sure that my family's happy. And that gets to be a juggle at some point. Mostly because I have terrible time management.
Sorry, man. How did you help you with that in that regard?
Say again?
How did we help you in that regard?
The guidance to kind of doing, it's really the hand holding with regards to doing the thing that conceptually seemed simple, but my brainstem said, no, don't do it for some reason,
For example,
was like, and I don't want to belittle it at all because it was a huge step for me, but that's kind of how I felt about it. It's like stuff I've been doing anyway. Why can't I do this also for money?
can you
And it was
give us an
that kind of,
example? Was it a
so,
content creation?
so no, it was just kind of getting the business going. Because it helped. Like the content creation stuff was definitely helpful. But sometimes the way my mind works, it's just kind of, it comes in droves. You know, I'll
So
make 5 videos in a day, and then I'll just kind of like pause for a while. But a lot of this was, here's the stuff to do for the business to make it easier to kind of get through.
so
And that
first
was kind of
offer.
a huge tipping point.
First was offer, right? Not
Yeah,
clarity in what would be that step by step, I believe, right?
Mhm.
You know, blueprint, how you're going to work with a client, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Pricing strategy.
Yeah, there was it was the pricing strategy was interesting. Mainly because it was a combination of what I think my baseline hourly rate would be, you know, as a doctor working some sort of medical job, but also
Right.
dialing it back because I'm very new to this space, despite, you know, having all the knowledge. Not
Right.
all the knowledge, but a lot of it anyway.
So it was not clear pricing strategy and the packaging.
Hmm.
Then basically, as it comes to lead generation,
Hmm.
how was that before and after for you?
Before it was, frankly, I got a lot of DMs a couple times a month, probably asking me if I did this sort of thing. And afterwards, lead generation was, you know, the freebie, the information collected, and then just, hey, messaging the people that, you know, kind of fit a couple different criteria,
So it was two
especially the
before,
people with. So
and then
before it was like 2 a month.
now.
And now, with that freebie thing, I got something like, I don't know, 400 messages.
Love it. And then so lead gen, right? And then you started hopping on calls. Did you do sales calls before?
No, I'd never done sales calls before.
First time. Did you train with Sean, with Mitch?
I watched some of the videos. I kind of took into account the way Mitch did it, because I had been on sales calls before for similar things, and I noticed the stuff that I hated from the people that I was on the call with, um, and I appreciated the conversational tone that Mitch had. Um, you know, I think my point with like talking to Mitch was similar to I think how people were working with me. They already have the idea that they're gonna do it.
Right.
It's like, it's just his job to not turn me off of that, really.
That's cool. That's cool.
He's over there nodding.
Jake.
Yeah, hey Mike. First of all,
Hey.
thanks for helping us out this morning.
Yeah,
So
yeah, of course.
kind of switching gears, I got a little bit of a different question.
Yeah.
So as we talk to people every single day that are in your situation and where
Mhm.
they know they need help, they've come to us looking for a solution. But what keeps people held back a lot of times is their fear and their worry, am I making a bad investment? Am I really going to be able to succeed? So I'm
Mhm.
curious, two things. Number one, did you have any fear going into this decision and how did you overcome that? And then what would you say to somebody that was thinking, well, I really want to do this, I just don't know if they can really help me?
Well, that's a bit to unpack. So the short answer is yes, all of the fear in the world. Mostly because I had been kind of guided through all these sorts of processes throughout my education and my professional life, that this is just what happens next. And it was, while the road was difficult, the following decisions were not, right? This is something that's completely different. I would argue that it's, like I said before, it's, you know, the risk that stands in front of you looks a lot bigger than it actually is. Like I was telling Alina yesterday, that it's like a big giant lake in front of you and you think you're going to drown until you take a step and you realize it's an inch deep. And like, oh, well, I'm not dead. So that's nice. You know, it's definitely an investment, and the as long as you do the stuff, and I feel like I'm particularly slow at this kind of a thing, mostly because, you know, like need the money as like to pay my bills, right? But I want to get more into this so I can do this more so that I can do other things less to pay my bills, right?
Yeah.
So I've been okay with being a little bit lethargic with the development of this process, mainly so I can also figure out how to best serve my clients and using this first couple of cohorts to kind of feel my way through it, right? Because when
Yeah.
you're working with clients in a professional standpoint for the first time, while you know all the information, you're still making up the structure as you're going. And like I said before, no two people are different, so it's really hard to have a templated way to do what I'm doing. To the people that say like they worry they won't make the money back, like you'll make the money back one way or another, right? So if you're really if you're you know if you're willing to put up the money to do these sorts of programs, you are at least serious enough to give it a proper shot. It may take you a month, it may take you 6 months, depending on how fast you go, but you'll get there. And if you don't, most of the people that you're working with are probably reasonably young as on a professional timeline, and they'll make that money back anyway, right? It's like buying a really
Yeah.
nice couch that you thought you loved that was trash and you hated it, right? It's like, that's like the worst that's going to happen. And you're probably going to learn something new anyway, so it's not going to be worthless.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And follow-up question for
Yeah.
you is, now that you've been into coaching for a while, has your perspective changed at all about what the possibilities are for this business for you?
Yeah, Alina and I were talking about that last night too. It was it's interesting because the while you make your first couple of steps, you really don't know what is next. And I'm at the moment I'm okay with not knowing what's next. I have seen people who are in the space quite a bit ahead of me doing things that I'm not sure that I would do in doing like very templated sorts of things. I've not shut myself off to like an online gosh, how do I even say it? Like a big giant kind of like a group, I don't know, platform for lack of a better term. But like I said, the way I like to do things is very one-on-one and very like patient or client centered. And I feel like it would be a struggle for me to develop a system that would make my own head feel good about taking a step back from that one-on-one. Even though I also know that, this sort of a thing, it's tough to call it a business. It's more of a commodity, and and it's still trading time for money, but it's trading time that I actually enjoy spending for money, as opposed to that I enjoy spending less for money.
But you
Yeah.
can definitely make more than that without leaving that one-on-one for sure. What's your niche, by the way? Sorry.
It's
The
like health and lifestyle coaching it's
Oh,
a
for
health
sure.
lifestyle coaching fitness thing. I'm a doctor who lifts weights and eats healthy, so that's, weird for most people.
No, that's awesome, man. No, absolutely multiple 5 figures. As long
Yeah.
as you have, traffic coming in, and then, you know, how much do you charge?
At the moment it's 2,400 for 12 weeks, but
That's good.
it'll probably go up.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. I mean, you'll figure it out with Alina, but definitely multiply 5 figures without
Mhm.
leaving that one-on-one.
Yeah.
But then again, we're growing, so if you want to one day become a closer, just
Yeah.
let us know. Cool, guys. Any other follow-up questions? Aline, thank you, man.
Yes.
Well, really appreciate you.
Yeah, of course.
Great insight so far. Thank you.
Amazing. So the main kind of idea is, because you did it step by step, what were the main free things that you liked on the platform or that you used most of the time? So maybe you attended like a few workshops, or maybe you watched recordings, or maybe the most useful one was just one-on-one calls, like with me, and nothing from the platform. So
The calls from you were definitely helpful. I'm the kind of person that needs those like nudges forwards, like, hey, get to work. Like, oh yeah, right, okay. And I think that's with coaching in general. The platform was definitely really helpful because I could go through and kind of step by step my way through, creating the payment platforms and kind of getting a big gist of the basic frameworks of how it's going to work, and kind of fill in my own spices to it as I go through. So those were definitely super helpful. I think those are kind of the big two that really kind of pushed me in that direction. Definitely of the things that were on there were definitely like the freebie creation was really helpful. And it's a basic framework for like a good piece of informational content that could either be free or not free. As well as the kind of like the, okay, here's how to actually set up the money stuff, which was, you can get very lost in all that kind of thing. So that was those, I think those are the two that I leaned on like the most heavily.
Amazing. And probably the last one for me. So you
Mhm.
mentioned, yes, people make the money anyway, but we do get beginners, I would say, who are scared. So they believe in the program, they believe in the steps, but still, after doing it for, let's say, a month, or maybe like messaging a few people, because like with you as well, you messaged a few people, you had like
Mhm.
some who ignored you, some who maybe said yes and then didn't show up. So what kept you going, and what advice you would give to people who are at the beginning, believe, but maybe still struggling and need a little push?
Yeah, I think my close rate is not something that people should expect. I think people should expect a direct correlation between the value that they have already given on their platform with the trust that they have in people in going to people, right? So if you have a brand new Instagram platform with 2 posts and you want to start selling and coaching, people aren't going to know who you are. They're not going to believe you, and it's going to be really hard to make those closes. But as you develop a platform and as you develop trust with people over time, or even if you have new people, they can scroll through your account and see like, oh, this person like has a lot of good stuff here. Maybe I'll like pay attention and maybe binge watch some of these posts. That's when you gain a little bit more traction with regards to like cold outreaches or warm DMs, and that's when it starts to get a little bit more, I guess, kind for your psyche, as opposed to, just being told either no or ignored all the time. And no matter how high up that chain you get, you're going to get ignored more often than not, or said no to more often than not. And that's just kind of the name of the game, right? You're going to reach out to all sorts of people and they're going to blow you off, and fine, that's okay. You have to, try to get these, you have to try at least, right? So if you DM 0 people, you'll make $0. But if your close rate is 10%, which is still not terrible, and you DM 10 people, you make 1 sale. All right, cool. If you DM 100 people at the same rate, you make 10 sales. Cool. And as you grow, that number will, as you grow your platform and you grow your knowledge on the subject, those will go up. But, if you're starting from 0, you can expect to be starting from 0.
Hey,
Amazing.
Mike, I've got another question for you real
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, I'll talk to people and obviously they get a lot of conflicting messages. They watch YouTube videos and what they
Mhm.
should do. They hear advice from different people. I'm wondering in your case, and I think you've probably already covered this a little bit, but in those conversations with Alina,
Mhm.
how much of it was just clarification on what you already knew you should be doing, but she just kind of like helped you understand the right way to do it, and then like how much of it was you were just kind of confused at what you should do and she was able to kind of guide you through, no, this is what you should actually be doing?
The former, not the latter. I think the concepts are not terribly, not exactly what I mean, but these are the best words I have. The concepts are not terribly difficult.
Mhm.
But from somebody with no sales background whatsoever, and kind of getting the hubris beaten out of me by medical school and residency and just the whole consortium of medicine. It was in my mind like, okay, here's what I should do. I think what I lacked largely was the organizational standpoint that Alina helped me with tremendously. But the ideas of what to do were there, and I just needed somebody to like, well, then do them, right? Um, I think that was one of the big things with this one. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Perfect.
Mhm.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, man. We appreciate you. But then
Yeah,
if
yeah,
we can
absolutely.
summarize, what was the transformation so far? You went from 0, correct?
Yeah, 0 to 12K expected. I think I
Yes.
put out my I think I started, actually I have it up here. My first client call was a month ago today, actually.
Nice. Nice.
And
Awesome.
No, of
You
course.
only
And
booked
you-
9 calls and you made 5 sales with
yeah, yeah.
a ticket.
And
Interesting.
I was telling Alina that the 4 sales that I did not make, they're all from Canada, and the exchange rate is atrocious. So the $2,400 course is actually like $3,900 in Canadian. So it's like, okay, I'm okay with that.
So we'll expect more sales in the future.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for your time.
Mhm.
This video will be uploaded to the platform with
Sure.
your username results, so we can share it with people.
Yeah.
And an amazing day.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Thanks.
We
Y'all too.
appreciate you.
Take care of
Thanks,
yourselves.
Mike.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate you.
Cheers. Take care.
Yeah.
All right, cool.